How many times have you been kicked out of a game? I feel like you got kicked out last year.
Twice last year. I think there's been a few times where I'm like, oh, it was probably deserved. Like a lot of times, like give you a chance. Like especially if they like kind of know, like, oh man, I might have missed it. They give you a chance to like stay in the game. They'll let you say some stuff, but then once you say a few magic words, or you cross the line, you get thrown out.
Were any of them intentional? Like you just didn't feel like playing the rest of the game, want to get home?
No, I mean it's all been balls and strikes for the most part.
Yeah,
Can't argue balls and strikes.
Well, one of them was it was like a check swing. I kind of like dropped my bat and they appealed. Obviously didn't agree with it. I didn't really do anything yet at the time to get thrown out. And so I was walking back to the dugout. I was like, all right, like it's 2 outs. Just go back to the dugout. But my bat was still on the ground. But the home plate umpire was like, hey, you need to pick your bat up. And so at that point you have like two choices. You either pitch out and be like, okay, pick up your bat. Or you just say, you pick it up. And then you get thrown out of the game. And
Wait.
My first ever ejection was a first inning ejection, and then Mattingly, he got thrown out as well. So you're like, oh, like I got thrown out, and I just got my manager thrown out in the first inning.
and then you have to sit with him?
Then you have to sit with him. I sat with him in his office, and we were up by 5, and you're sitting in your manager's office. It was like the 8th inning. It was on the Marlins. We ended up blowing the lead in the 8th inning. It was like Mattingly, me, president of the team, all in his office watching the game as we're blowing a lead. And you're just sitting there just like, dude, that's so uncomfortable. Like, you're just like, I hope we win.
I saw a story. Did you lose a home run derby to Barry Bonds?
No. So the media, they love that one.
So what happened? Because this was obviously when Barry was the hitting coach for the Marlins.
Yeah. It was a spring training thing. So we were just hitting off the curveball machine on like one of the backfields after like the morning workout, getting ready for the game. And sometimes guys like to play games or like compete against each other. So you have something like where you're kind of like locked in instead of just like going through the motions with the drill. It was pretty unfair teams, actually. It was like me, Stanton, and Barry Bonds. And it was against, I forgot who else.
Yeah.
It was like Jeff Mathis, who's like one of my best friends in the game, but whoever else was on the Marlins at the time. But it was like very lopsided teams.
Yeah.
It was like, you're just trying to score runs. So like, and I think Barry was the judge, whether it was a hit or not. So it was doubles, singles, and then obviously home run. He hit the most home runs during that drill, actually, still.
That's
but
crazy.
it wasn't officially a home run derby.
Well, it sounds like one.
But he did hit the most. He did swing and miss at the first curveball. We were all laughing at him, like, "Oh, you don't got it anymore." And then the next pitch, the next like 5, he hit a homer. We're like, oh, maybe you still got it. But
Is it true too with spring training, like the old saying, "Hope springs eternal"? Like every time you go to spring training, even if you on a team that maybe doesn't have a ton of talent, you're like, anything could happen here.
oh, I've been on plenty of teams where it's like, everyone's got us underrated. No one thinks we can do this, but we're gonna win the World Series. And then it's September and we lost like 100 games. And he was like, oh, I guess it wasn't our year. You know, they all give you like a shirt. Back in the day, we had a, I think it was with the Marlins one year. It was a shirt. It said like Chip right here on the shoulder.
Oh, God.
And like a bunch of different like sayings and numbers on it. It's like, no one's giving us credit. We got a talented room here. 95 losses that year. Our manager got fired in like May. Redmond, he was a great guy. We were all just like, we're sorry, man.
Without naming names, what position group is the biggest group of psychos in baseball?
There's different tiers of it. So like all your position players, the guys that play like every day, they're like their own brand of psycho.
Okay.
You have the relievers. Those guys are pretty crazy actually, because it'll be like 10:30 at night and they're like slamming a Red Bull with P4 and a 5-hour energy to go close at the game. Like, dude,
Right.
you're not going to sleep till like 6 a.m. if you do that.
Yeah.
So those guys are coming in. I've seen guys that take like the red hot stuff. Like, you guys ever had that? Like,
Yeah,
where you
yeah.
put it on, like your body feels like it's on fire. Like,
Yeah.
I played with a guy that used to put that up his nose in the bullpen
That
before he
sounds
came in
awesome.
the game, and he threw like 100 miles an hour. Like,
That's
you know,
badass.
God, that guy's on our side.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, yeah, you just have like starting pitchers all kind of have their quirks. Like, I think just being in the game of baseball, you're kind of like your own brand of psycho.
Last umpire question. Did you get Joe West anything for his retirement?
No, I didn't actually. I really liked Joe just because, and he was actually like a phenomenal umpire when he locked it in. Like balls and strikes, he was one of the best guys in the league when it was like a Sunday night game or playoff series. Like he was really, really good. And like as a rookie, like he would kind of like test you, like intentionally do something to like where you're like, what the man, and see how you kind of reacted. And if you just like kind of took it like, okay, like this is just part of like getting your feet wet in the major leagues,
Yeah.
he would always like you.
Yeah.
But if you kind of like turned around and like showed him up, like the pitcher could throw the next ball halfway up the backstop. it's gonna be strike 3. And I always loved Joe, and I like all those umpires. And like side note, like kind of get uncomfortable talking about it because it's such a integral part of your life. You don't want to ever like critique them or have them think bad about you, because like that's definitely not what I'm trying to do or want to do, because like those guys are in it with us, man. We're all trying to do the best we can. And they're all really good dudes, and it's a really, really hard job at the end of the day, even though I have been kicked out of 4 or 5 games. But we're going to try and stop that.